Hi, and welcome to Wow Talk. I'm Donna Cappuccitti, a thriving cancer survivor.
And I'm her naturopathic doctor, Darlene Gustin. We're here to encourage, educate, and empower you on your journey to optimum wellness.
Welcome. And today we are going to talk about aging. Age and aging. I once took a course at university that's what it was called. Yeah, anyway, where do we even begin, Dr. Gustin?
Well, sometimes when I comment about age or someone around me does, I love the mindset of, well, it's better than the alternative. Right?
Yes, yeah. Yes, exactly.
So yeah, aging, I can't believe how old I am. Like I find that a lot of patients will sometimes say, oh, I'm tired because I must be getting old. I'm so tired and I feel so flat emotionally. And I hear that all too often. And I never let them get away with a comment like that. Good. To use age as an excuse, because two of my favorite people, my mother, who's 90 years old, lives by herself. Half of her backyard is a garden in our original family home.
Amazing.
90 going on 30.
Yeah.
And a very dear friend of mine is a chiropractor who's also in his early 90s, and he still works full time because he loves his job.
Amazing.
So when you're in healthcare, why would you retire when you just start getting good, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in my profession, a lot of people don't retire. They just keep doing what they do because they love it, or they change how they do it on their own terms, on their own schedule, take lots of vacations, just do the fun stuff. So aging is not an excuse for not feeling well. And there's a lot you can do to preserve that energy and that vitality.
Well, that is what we are going to talk about today mainly. Could you get us started on some pointers and some tips?
Sure. So there's nothing new on this topic. It's all lifestyle medicine, having regular physical activity. The 6 best doctors: get the sunshine, get the water, eat good food, have happy relationships, and move your body. And there's one of my favorite studies. There's a study that was done on longevity, and they looked at many, many different variables, like, do you live shorter because you smoke? Do you live longer because you're married? So they looked at social status, income, health history, exercise level, fitness level, how much body fat. And guess what was at the very, very top of that list? The number one thing you can do to have longevity.
I would probably guess be in a really good relationship.
Very close. So having like a community.
Okay.
Being part of something.
Okay.
And so that social system, that was the number one thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was really excited to hear that, because I join a lot of things.
Yes, you do. Oh, yes, you do. I don't know how you do it.
So I love seeing people and making changes and volunteer work and cultural things and professional things. So I'm always somewhere, and it gives me energy. And when you're with people, like, I know there were periods of time that I lived alone when I had just graduated. I wasn't married yet. I certainly didn't have children. And when you're the only person in the house, you're not too motivated to cook. I'll just eat this apple and a few nuts. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's me.
Right.
Even now, if my kids aren't home, I tend to do that. I don't want to make a big production in the kitchen just for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it's Thanksgiving and the kids are coming. So I think I'll cook for like the next 2 days.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yes.
All the good stuff that takes forever, and all the chopping and washing of vegetables.
Yes.
So there's a lot of benefits beyond just the emotional benefit of having people around us. And also, I might be tired and I would just fall asleep on the couch, but my friend says, hey, let's go for a walk, or let's, go for a ride, or walk to the lake, or walk the dog. Pets also help with longevity. And in Chinese medicine, one aspect of aging, the way they see how the body works, is declining kidney energy. But kidney energy is beyond just the physical organ of the kidney. It includes mental health and bone density and stress and hydration. So some people define aging as the slow dehydration until death of the human body. So different cultures, different forms of medicine define aging different ways. But I certainly do not define age based on numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I agree with you, because the number does mean nothing when you can compare people who have a ton of energy, as you were saying, at an older age, at a bigger number, let's call
Right.
it.
That's right.
You know, and I was talking to a friend of mine recently who recommended a book called Outlive. And I want to take a look at it. And I find that might be something I love, even if I can only get like one thing from a book or a publication or an article. That may be a good tip to take with us. So I can't comment on it because I have not looked at it yet, but I have heard about this book that is supposed to, give us some ideas. And I think it's all about what you were just talking about. That's what I gather from what she told me. But what about things like, let's start with even our skin or something like that. Like, what could we do that's non-invasive that would maybe help us keep more of a youthful, appearance or glow, or I don't know what to call it.
It's funny you brought up skin. I have a lot of patients comment on my skin.
Yes.
And I don't really do anything particularly expensive or unique to have healthy skin, but it does vary seasonally. It does vary with age. And there are certain things about health that are accumulative over a lifetime. Like if you've had a lot of sun exposure, it'll catch up with you. But simple things like, what time of month is it? Is it summer or winter? We need more oils in the winter because of the cold weather. And it varies. And it always starts with exfoliation. So the first thing is to just really clean the skin very well. I tend to use a scrub once or twice a week, but a gentle scrub, one that was made for daily use, but I don't use it daily. And when you clean the skin very well, then when you apply a product, then it absorbs better. And if I see certain things, like if I see that there's a little bit of wrinkles, I might use antioxidants such as coenzyme Q10 or vitamin E. And then my skin will respond well to that for a while. And then I'll say, oh, it's kind of dry. And maybe I'll use a little bit of a heavier moisturizer more in the evening. And then there are things that are more appropriate for morning use or evening use. So it's something that you'd have to really evaluate your skin, or even just pay attention to yourself. If you don't go to a professional to give you some of this feedback, you don't have to. Just look at your skin and what's going on. Do you have broken blood vessels? Do you have age spots? Do you have wrinkles? Is it dry? Is it oily? Do you have pores? And most of these products are labeled anyway that it's for this or that, but some of the very simple things that have been used for hundreds of years. I remember the first time I used rose hip oil on my face. I was blown away. It felt like silk.
Oh,
it
really?
was amazing. Yeah. So
do you still use it?
Not lately, but now that I'm bringing it up, it's like, I think I'll buy some again.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, because it's season change right now.
Yes.
So in the summer, it's more about not letting yourself get burned, right? And there are different foods you can eat as well, like watermelons and tomatoes that when consumed as a food orally, or supplements that can also almost be like a sunscreen from the inside out.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then some of my patients who are men and they maybe work outside and they can't necessarily wear gloves. So they might need a hand cream, a barrier cream that has minerals such as silicone in them.
Okay.
To give a little bit of it. It almost feels waxy when you put the cream on, and it lasts a much longer time. So it really depends on the person. But and there's a lot of things an esthetician can help you with too, that if you haven't really taken care of your skin, you can catch up a little bit and have different exfoliations done and different physical procedures on the skin, or steaming of the skin to help break a sweat and clean out the pores.
Yeah.
So I've liked skincare ever since I was in high school. So it's not something new to me, but I'm not loyal to any product or any particular company. I just pay attention to my skin. But naturopathically, we treat the skin from the inside out. So having good skin is a reflection of having a good gut.
Yes, back to the old gut health.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And yes. Any tips on that? What's back? I guess we have to think about clean eating is what I always think about. The greens
Definitely.
and lots of hydration.
Yep.
Anything else you would recommend or not? Or just say to stay away from? Because I know my daughter in particular, she has discovered a sensitivity to dairy and that her skin is much better when she stays away from it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So if someone's trying all the best products that work on all your friends topically, externally, then I would say, well, how's your stomach? How's your gut? How's your bowel function? Is it normal? And if that's the case, then you'd want to look at cleanses or food sensitivities or deficiencies of things like zinc and fish oil.
Yeah.
So aging, that's where it's visible, right?
Yes.
And then also a lot of North Americans with age, they get diverticula. Do you know what those are?
I've heard of the diverticulitis.
Correct.
So tell me about that.
So diverticula are like wrinkles in the colon wall, and they're wrinkles on the inside, and they form pockets, and then waste can get trapped in those pockets. And if it gets infected, then it's called diverticulitis.
Okay.
And if it's a simple case, that might just be treated with antibiotics, but it can also get pretty serious, and some people even need surgical removal.
Yes. Heard of that.
It ranges from 0 to 1,000 in terms of severity, but that's something that comes after decades of low fiber eating, and it affects the colon wall in a way that eventually forms diverticula.
Okay, that was going to be my question, is what would lead to having that? And there you go, the fiber.
Yep.
Yeah, fiber is so important. I heard them talking about it again this morning with regards to cholesterol, and that sort of thing. And I forget, I don't have oats every morning, but I think I need to at least include them a lot more often than I do, which is never at this point, it seems.
It's all about the habits. A lot of the popular books on the market now are all about habits, that it's not about counting your fiber or taking a supplement. It's about how many vegetables you have as a lifestyle.
Okay, yes. Yeah.
And so as complicated as science can get, it always reverts back to those 6 best doctors, whether we're talking about health or aging or a serious diagnosis. It always goes back to the basics.
Okay. So is there anything else you would like to include in our age and aging episode?
Well, the big message is no, it's not an excuse for not feeling well. That if there are 90-year-olds and 100-year-olds who are living a full, vibrant, high quality of life, you can do it too. There might be some limitations, like certainly you don't make it to age 90 with nothing ever happening. So you may have had an injury or two by then, or inherited some genetic something, some vulnerability. Nobody was born with the perfect body. I tell my patients that all the time. And so you do the best with what you've got, and work around it. Like a lot of patients with age, they have problems with their hips and knees, and I try to catch them when they're age 20 or 30, and I say, oh, you had an injury, you have this mystery hip pain. Have you seen a chiropractor? Has it been x-rayed? Have you had a massage? If you walk lopsided for another 5 to 20 years, we're looking at a hip replacement.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So I try to catch them before they get to that point and explain to them that weight-bearing joints have to be used symmetrically. If you need an orthotic, use it. If you need a chiropractor, go. Because the consequence of not going is, next thing you know, a whole bunch of years went by and your right hip has carried 60% of your body weight instead of 40, and no wonder it wore out faster.
Yeah.
And
you hear that all the time.
Yeah. And I often compare our body to a vehicle.
Yeah.
So if you have tires and they're not aligned, you're going to wear out some of the tires faster than the others.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Very
So
good.
do what you can, whether you're hearing this message at age 20 or at age 70, and also use it or lose it. So people who have arthritis, I say that's not an excuse to retire on the lazy boy.
That's right.
And,
That's right.
you can still swim, you can do some stretching, you can do some yoga, because you need to have the circulation maintained through the joint. By nature, joints are not very vascular. They don't have a high amount of circulation unless you move the joint. So for you to deliver nutrients to the joint to heal, or if you need to flush out waste, fluid retention, and inflammation, you need circulation. So, if it's a 5-minute walk, fine. It's 1,000 times better than a 0-minute walk.
I agree with you. And we could talk about the gym that I go to, maybe on another episode. But I go to this gym that does have an older age range, like the demographic is a bit older, and I absolutely love it. And the thing about it, though, is it's not too overwhelming or too hard it's not too intense. And I have a program that's geared to me. But what I always think is, sometimes I think, oh, maybe it is too easy and I'm not pushing myself enough.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think, no, whatever I am doing is way better than what I was doing before, which was nothing.
Right.
So
right.
now I've done 5 years of this, let's say, not intense gym workout. And it could be as intense as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want it to be too intense, because then I wouldn't want to go. So the thing is, I look forward to it. I love going. And it's incredible. It is called Live Well Exercise Clinic. I will mention that. I should give them a plug. And if it wasn't for you, Darlene, I never would have gone, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, yeah. And I love it. And I always say that. It's better than what I was doing before.
Nice.
Yeah.
I also wanted to throw in that I went hiking in the Rocky Mountains last week with a friend.
Amazing.
And
so
we went there. This was our excursion to celebrate being friends for 50 years.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So she lives out west now, and she lives on a farm, and she has 2 horses. And what that means is that she, fixes trees. She chops down trees.
Oh, wow.
She fixes fences.
Yeah.
She lifts 50-pound bales of hay to feed these horses. And
Geez, yeah, sounds like my sister. Okay.
She's a scientist,
Yeah.
but she lives on a farm. And so her physical activity level is, on a day-to-day basis, is much more than mine living in a town. And so when we went into the mountains, it was very interesting I was impressed with myself that I could keep up with her physically on the mountains and not have shortness of breath, and up the hill, down the hill, go see the waterfall. And we would count our steps every day, and we'd have lots of steps, a crazy number of steps with no aches and pains. And she doesn't have the best knee, but she wore her knee brace and she kept up. And we were like 2 20-year-olds. And I think part of the charm of those mountains is they've made the trails so easy to walk on. And it's so enjoyable seeing the forest and the woodpeckers and the chipmunks and the elks and the mountain goats. I was hoping to see moose and bear, but that didn't happen. But
sounds beautiful what you did see, though. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so easy. My friend took a picture of me and she was joking around. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I go, "Forest bathing." You're lucky I kept my clothes on. So exercise can be, built into your lifestyle, and mix it with social. And I'm not a gym person. I wish I was. And maybe one day I can get my mindset around that. But I guess I can hike in the mountains for days on end.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Absolutely. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I never was a gym person either. And I don't think if this gym were to disappear, I would not go back to another one because I love this gym.
Nice.
It's just different. And there you have it. Anyway, on that note, thank you so much for listening. And enjoy every moment that you can.
Absolutely. Because the alternative is not so good.
Exactly. Bye.
Bye.